River City Arc's Slow Scan TV Net will start in just a couple of minutes. N6NA FM.
Okay, this is KP4MD. We are now live streaming on YouTube.
Very good. Thank you, Carol. N6NA FM here. So I'll go ahead and start the net. This is, well, good evening. This is Wilson Head, N6NA FM, November 6 Echo, Mike Foxtrot. I'm your net control operator for the River City Arc Slow Scan TV Net, and this net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arc's members and all licensed amateur radio operators are welcome to participate. Drop. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break, break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Drop. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check in to the net, please come now.
India 6 Delta Golf. L7 HQR.
Kilo.
Good evening. Hello, Neil, KL7 HQR and N6NA FM here. Do we have any other stations checking in?
Yes, Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. This is Carol.
Good evening, Carol, KP4 Mike Delta. Welcome. Let's see. Do we have anybody else? Carol's number 3. All right, so we have AI6DG, KL7HQR, KP4MD, and N6NA FM here. I will basically will ask Joel, AI6DG, to go ahead and send a picture when you're ready. Go ahead, Joel. just received the photograph. I want to apologize. This N6EMF here, I had some hookup problems as well as my computer was hesitant to get started with everything, but I received about 2/3 of the photograph, and I can tell you that it came in clear, and I can see the bottom 2/3 of the photograph showing what looks like a 2-tier workstation or workbench with sort of a cabinet tray on the right that's white with different types of maybe test instruments. Maybe there's an oscilloscope there, and a power supply, a soldering station, and some other electronics test gear type knickknacks. I can't tell what's on the top shelf. I think I'm missing that part. And from here, I want to say, well, Joel, you did a pretty good job getting that photograph transmitted, and I'll turn it over to Neil for a comment.
Roger, K07SUR. Yeah, good picture. It came in. At the top, there is the top shelf has some additional test equipment. 1, 2, 3 layers, and with a meter on the left side. I cannot see what that is. The call letters A6DG on the top 1/3 left in white. To the right-hand side looks like drawer containers, translucent drawers containers for miscellaneous parts. It came out beautifully, just very, very few pixels, but very good copy. Over.
Very good, Joel. That was KL7HQR. I'm sorry, Neil. Thank you. How about Carol, KP4MD? Did you want to make a comment on the photo?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to guess that the on the top shelf there you have a wire shelving unit, and I think that Joel has brought that to some of his activities that he's operated in the field. It looks like there is a on the middle shelf there's a watt meter to the left, and to the right there's a looks like one of those rig runners, I think they call them, where they have the power pole jacks on the bottom and the fuses there on the front. And below that, I don't know if that would be a flex radio, but it's an interesting. I don't recognize that particular model, but that might be what that is. Down on the main counter, I do see an oscilloscope. To the right of that, possibly a power supply, and looks like maybe a function generator there to the right of that. And you see there's a magnifying, illuminated magnifying glass on a stand. That looks like it's looking at a piece of paper that might have some kind of schematic drawing on there. And there's a roll of solder in the center there with looks like some wire strippers perhaps, and some other tools. And looks like there's a pair of pliers on top of the case in the lower right hand corner. There's a little one of those plastic shoving cases usually you put parts in and stuff. You have the one on the bottom on the main counter, and then one on the top shelf there. So this is my guess. And there's a device all the way on the left extreme of the counter that looks like it has some kind of a screen, like a little display screen, and then it has two things coming, like little arms bent down from either side that look like they have connectors on them. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, back to net control. This is KP4MD.
All right, well, that was quite the narrative, Carol. Thank you for that. Let me turn it over to Joel himself, AI6DG. Did you want to narrate, be the tour guide for this photo, please, sir? Thank you. N6EMF.
This is my station / bench. It's a mess, particularly in this photo. Although it's been worse, it's been far better also. Carol largely got everything. The top center on top of the shelf is my HF station, and it is portable. So by unplugging AC, network,
and coax, I can actually lift that off the table, and I have a little rolling Tupperware container, although obviously it's not Tupperware. It's a big thing that just drops down into, and then I can carry it out to the car, and then from the car it's got wheels on the back top, and I can roll it to wherever I'm operating, which hopefully isn't too far. So it's actually a little kitchen rack, and I've only got about half of it there with 3 shelves. The bottom shelf on the left is a Flex 6500. On that shelf to the left, I think I got a garbage pile. I think I probably got a speaker, a microphone, and an antenna analyzer in there. Directly above that, on the left, is an MFJ cross needle SWR and power meter. To the right of that is the Anderson plug power pole power distribution. So as Carol mentioned, there's fuses kind of in the center of it, and below it are the Andersons plugging straight in. And it's actually a little meter on the gray spot is a power meter that tells me voltage and how much current's being drawn. And actually behind that, you can't see it, but behind that on that shelf is a power supply. Is a 30 amp switcher power supply that powers the whole thing. And you can't see it, but down on the floor beneath this table, I've got a battery box with a switching. Wait a minute. Well, what it does is it's got the 12 volts from the AC supply going into it, and it charges the battery that's in the battery box. I've got a marine battery, deep cycle battery, and it's also got a plug for a solar cells. So the intent is to be able to take it out into the field and recoup some of the power being used by the solar cells charging the battery, and the rest of the time discharging the battery. Doesn't work as well as would hope with the Flex 6500 because when that's transmitting, it uses far more power than the solar cell can generate. So I'm running at a net loss. Yep, and on the right, I've got 2 rows of the shelving to put parts and projects in. On top of the one on bottom, the red handled thing is actually a crimper for Anderson power poles. In fact, I think it's sitting on top of a bag of the power pole plugs to make cables with. Yes, in back beneath the shelf, from left to right, a oscilloscope. It's not a power supply. It's actually the control unit for a soldering iron. And the actual stand for the soldering iron tip is the blue thing that's just below what it turns out is a signal generator. I'm surprised you caught that because it could be lots of things. They all pretty much look a lot alike. And a little pad the tools are sitting on, anti-static for when I'm working on projects. The magnifier, the black thing is a magnifier with a light in it, so I can get a good look at the projects I'm working on. And I need that. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be, so for when that's not strong enough, just to the left of that, the odd thing is basically a microscope. I mean, it displays it on the big display on top. You got the 2 arms with the lights, and I can put something below it and zoom in to the point where, well, for instance, if I had a through-hole resistor, I could zoom into the point where the entire screen was that one joint. So it's a considerable amount of magnification. And, geez. Yeah, there's lots of other things, but the resolution's not high enough to see them. Back to net, AI6DG.
Very good, Joel. This is Wilson, N6EMF Net Control. Yeah, so the pliers, the crimpers, I have a pair like that, and I can identify with those. They're not for power poles, the ones I've got. They're just standard wire cutters with long handle, very high quality material, and a crimper that's designed for crimping, standard like wire lugs, like ring lug or whatever it is you work with. But that one tool there exudes a lot of confidence when you're working on stuff, and you cut all types of wire with ease without as much fatigue as working with the cheaper tools. So I appreciate the investment that was made in that tool. And where I'm at in life too, I'm probably going to need a magnifying glass like that for all the things that I do. Like my 14-year-old son dropped his iPhone the other night, and we had to replace the screen here at home with these really tiny screwdrivers and screws, and I thought, oh boy, it would be nice to have something like that. But anyway, you should rent out that shack. I mean, guys like me, I'd be willing to pay hourly for access to something like that. N6EMF. Fun shack. Is anybody have any additional comments on Joel's workbench, AI6DG there?
Comment.
All right. If not, what I'll do is I'll call on Neil. If you're ready, Neil, KL7HQR, why don't you go ahead and come with your photo?
There was a comment there. Go ahead, comment.
That's me again. It may look impressive, but there's nothing here that's horribly expensive or of professional grade. Everything here would probably cost 5 times more if it was professional grade and being used in a true engineering shop. So it's all perfectly functional, but nowhere. The only thing there that's close to high end is the 6500, which is the Flex 6500. That's definitely high end. Everything else is not. So it's more impressive looking than I think it actually is. But it's functional. That's the thing. It's sufficient to do what I need it to.
Yeah, I could see that. It's functional. It's purpose-built. I really appreciate that. There's something that came to mind. I think you took the words right out of my mouth, though. It's complete, and I'll bet you spend quite a bit of time there tinkering with stuff. I was surprised to hear about your software-defined radio drawing that much power.
Oh, it's about 2 amps just on receive mode, which isn't terrible considering what it's the amount of computing that's going on inside it. But the main thing is that if you're doing 50 to 100 watts operation plus that, plus a laptop, and you've only got like 100, 150 watt panel, you're running on a net loss of power that's getting charged into the battery system.
Gotcha. Well, I think if there's any other interest in Joel's photograph, I just want to double check. Anything out there, Carol? How about Neil? Okay, N6EMF is calling on KL7HQR to transmit his photo. By the way, thank you, Joel.
KL7HQR, thanks, Joe. Very, very thorough explanation, and really a neat. It reminds me of places that I used to have when I was doing that kind of electronic back in the 70s. But equipment is much, much different and much lighter, that's for sure. Okay, let's hope that the signal link gremlins have been taken care of. I'll give it a try here, and let's see how it goes. This one is PD120. Okay, already just messed up again. Why don't you go with Carol, and I'll see what happens here.
All right, very good. Well, let me just ask, Neil, is there you think there's anything either Carol or somebody here could help you with, or do you want to turn it over to Carol for sure?
No, I think it's just a question that it's not assigned to the sound that's coming out of the speaker. It's just a question of reassigning that. That's it. I just don't want to hold the net, and I can come back after Carol.
Very good. Carol, KP4MD, if you're ready and available, please go ahead with your picture. N6EMF here.
Okay, this is KP4MD, and let me go ahead and load picture. And this is going to be Martin 1. This is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. Okay, so how did that picture come along? This is KP4M Mike Delta.
Net control here, N6EMF. Carol, KP4MD, that picture came out just wonderfully. It's crystal clear with very few speck marks in the lower half, but the resolution's good, the color spectrum's good, came out clear. I can see what appears to be aluminum antenna material. I see a boom with a possibly radiating element on the far, or vertically oriented radiating element on the far right of the picture, and sort of behind that there's reflectors. I can't really tell what this is, but it looks like a, I forgot what they call these, but it's almost like a dish. But I'll let others give their impression of what this might be. But it looks like possibly a UHF type of directional antenna from my perspective, for lack of a better way to describe it. And from here, maybe I will go to Joel for his perception and comment and question on the photo. Go ahead, Joel. AI6DG, this is N6EMF.
Yes, came across quite well. The normal pause pops. But you pretty much nailed it, I think. It's a dish, the boom coming up with to the here on the right. I'm looking at that, trying to figure out what frequency it's probably at. So most likely, I guess it would be the 440 band, 70 centimeter. But it's kind of hard, and there's not really any scale to figure out what the size of things are. I'm looking at the matching setup on that radiator. I don't know what the different types are. Is that a gamma match, or I'm not sure. I know there's different layouts for how to do the impedance matching. I'm surprised. I think there'd be quite a bit of loss, considering those the dish reflectors are so far apart at that frequency. I would think there'd be quite a bit of loss. Back to net, AI6DG.
Oh, thanks for some validation on that. I appreciate that, and I pretty much agree with everything that you had for it, Joel. So let me turn it over to Neil. Neil, are you available at KL7HQR? This N6EMF.
Yeah, sure. Good, very, very good copy. As a matter of fact, I don't see, maybe I can count to the number of pixels in the transmission. Absolutely fantastic quality. I don't think it's 7 centimeters. Being unable to really get a scale on this, but looking at the square aluminum tubing sizing, it looks like it's a much higher frequency. So let's see what Carol has to say. Well, let me get back to that.
Very good observation, Neil. Thank you. N6EMF. Carol, I'll turn it over to KP4MD. Carol, if you want to give us a guide through your photograph, sure would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. This is a little project I just put together today. This is actually an antenna that was removed from service. I guess about 20 or 30 years ago, there was a service that was called MMDS television for people who wanted to get cable, but they didn't have wired cable into their neighborhoods. They could put these dishes up on top of their roofs and point them towards a central distribution transmitter that would send out the cable network feed. And this operated on a set of channels between 2500 and 2700 megahertz. So this antenna was recently removed from service since that service isn't available anymore. And repurposing this, I made that little dipole there. You see it's a piece of 14 gauge wire that's it's actually 4 inches from top to bottom. And I have, you're right, Joel, that is a gamma match. I have a piece of RG8U cable that's going through the center of that aluminum boom. And that's not the original aluminum boom holding it. That's a piece of scrap that I picked up at the Metal Mart, which is it's a store. You know, they had the blue collar supply down there on Power Inn. Well, this one is, that store went out of business. So I found this other store that has surplus aluminum and metal of all kinds. And they're down in Rancho Cordova, just on the frontage road there off of Freeway 50 by Sunrise. And I picked that up yesterday, that little piece there. I stuck it in there so I could locate the dipole precisely at the focus of this parabolic dish, and that's what it is. It's a parabolic dish, and since the shield of the RG8U is aluminum and it doesn't solder to the copper, I had to. What I did was I crimped the aluminum to the copper at that point. So that's the shield connected to the center of that little dipole. And then the center conductor goes down about 2 centimeters and it's soldered. Normally, you have a little series capacitor connected there as well to cancel out the inductive reactance. But since I'm just using this for receiving right now, it's not very critical. And I'm using this dipole actually is resonant right around the 23 centimeter band, so 1240 to 1300 megahertz. And I was doing a little test here because I'm planning to try and receive fast scan amateur television. That there's a repeater up on Mount Diablo that transmits on 1240 megahertz. But where I'm located here, I am in a fringe area. So I'm going to need a gain antenna to be able to pick up any signal from them. So I'm working on this. I have this inside the house right now. I set it up on the other side of the room I'm in. and I got my Nano VNA. I'm sure a lot of you people know about the Nano VNA. It normally goes up to 900 megahertz, but there is an upgrade firmware, so you can actually activate it up to 1500 megahertz. So I set it on 1270, which is right in the middle of that band, the 23 centimeter band, and I put it into the CW mode. It puts out like about 1 milliwatt, if that much. I did measure it on the spectrum analyzer. It puts out just about 1 milliwatt. And I had it on the other side of the room. I have my SDR Play, and that tunes up around that band. So I had that on a little, tiny little stubby ducky antenna just to see the signal strength. And with just the dipole without the reflector behind it, I was measuring like minus 85 dBm. And when I put the dipole into this position right at the focus of the dish and had it pointing towards the receiver on the other side, the signal came up 15 dB. So it is working, that's for sure. It's a little hodgepodge thing, but it's if I can get 15 dB gain, that's going to be tremendous. Pointed down towards Mount Diablo, and another thing I can put in line is one of those inline amplifiers that they use for satellite receivers that can add another 20 dB of gain to overcome the loss in the length of the coaxial cable. Because up on that frequency, there's a lot of loss in coaxial cable if you're running anything other than hardline. So that's going to be that's one of my projects I'm working on. I thought it was curious to share that, and it was quite impressive to see the amount of gain I could just see on the SDR Play on the spectrum. So back to net control. This is KP4MD.
All right, that sounds really exciting. Carol, KP4MD, N6EMF here. That sounds really exciting. How impressive that you got you hooked up the Nano to it, radiate a milliwatt, or I don't know if you could get a milliwatt to it, but you probably had a really short feed line going there, and you got 15 dB of gain out of that. It's just phenomenal. That's just great. So let me ask you, what is your goal? When do you intend to have it operational?
Okay, yeah, what I'm planning to do is I'm going to get some hot glue and try to just a little weatherproof that end there where the cable is coming out. And maybe within a week or so I'll put it up and point it down towards Mount Diablo, and then next time they have one of their nets, which is a Thursday night, we'll see if we receive anything, because I won't really pursue this any further if we're unable to receive the signal from Mount Diablo. So that's the first thing I'm going to try. And if that's the case, then I'll get one of those over-the-air, what they call free over-the-air satellite receiver boxes, which you can get on eBay or Amazon, like for about $25, and you can actually decode their digital fast-scan amateur TV pictures, and that'd be kind of curious. And I've been told that I could get a transmitter too, but that's another challenge. I've never operated that 23 centimeter band, but it's looking interesting. Back to net control.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to others for follow-up comments and questions, but I think I have maybe one more if anything else doesn't come to mind. How much bandwidth do you get for modulating, or rather, what kind of data rates do you expect for the fast scan?
Well, it's I believe what they do is 6 megahertz. It's the full NTSC, and the upload would be on it's a analog FM transmitter. You're also able to do a digital, but that's a lot more involved, getting a digital TV transmitter. There are some boards that are sold and kits that are sold for that, but you're also able to just do a frequency modulated NTSC signal. About 6 megahertz is the bandwidth that they use over.
Very good. Oh, one last comment. It seems to me, Carol, and I don't know if others perceive the same thing, but your voice, it seems like you may be speaking very close to your microphone. I can copy you quite well. It's really not a problem understanding you, but your voice is just not as crystal clear, and maybe you're speaking too close to the mic, or your mic gain is up too high. It's my I'll turn it over to others. I'll go up the list. Neil or Joel, AI6DG, did you have any other comments or questions about this fascinating parabolic dish that Carol is home brewing?
7HQR, just quite a project. Very impressed. And I also agree with the voice quality comment.
I don't know if I got names confused, but thank you, Neil. How about Joel? Did you have anything else you wanted to check in with KP4MD?
4 inches total end to end. Yep, I was thinking maybe 4 to 6 inches each side. So obviously there's a matter of scale going on there. I couldn't really tell the size of that. So, yep, that changes the frequency. Do you have in mind what you're going to use for the receiver to receive the TV, or are you going to use the SDR play?
No, you don't use the SDR play. I'm going to just use the SDR play to first see if I can even pick up RF, from the repeater. And if I can definitely identify that there's a repeater RF coming in, then I can go ahead and get the decoder receiver. It's called a free-to-air, I believe, satellite, FTA satellite receiver. And they're very inexpensive. They go for like $20 to $25, and it has a decoding in there for the digital modulation that the repeater has. Over.
How much more gain do you would think you would get if it was a solid dish rather than just the bars?
That's curious. I've been modeling with the 4NEC2 antenna modeling program, and it isn't really all that much difference. It might be a question of a couple of dB, so it's not really worth the additional expense to try to get a perfect dish. And if there's enough signal comes in, the little receiver box only requires minus 85 dBm, and from what I've been told, I did speak with the guy who runs that repeater up there on Mount Diablo, that they have some pretty good power up there. So the only thing is I need to make sure that I have line of sight, because there's that frequency is pretty much direct line of sight, and I personally can't see the top of Mount Diablo because being right on the edge of the fringe, it's just like right at the level of the horizon for me. So we'll just have to see if it works. 2 meter Mount Diablo comes in here full quieting and pins the meter, but 2 meters, of course, has a little bit better coverage over the horizon than when you're up on microwaves. Over.
All right, great comments. Wonderful photo. Good storyline behind this one. Thank you, Carol, KP4MD. I don't want to, let's see, N6EMF here in Net Control wants to see if, I'll make one last call for comments on KP4MD's parabolic dish. And if there's nothing, we can go ahead and advance to Neil and see if he's ready to transmit a photo from KL7HQR.
Okay, first of all, let me see if I can have a tone going through there, okay?
Go ahead.
It's still, still coming out of my speaker. I have everything connected in here. I have set on On options and miscellaneous, I have the USB codec, and I went to Windows and I set up the default to the speakers and the communication device to the USB codec. And I tried before the net. I tried tone. It was working okay, and now I don't know what may have gone wrong. Any ideas?
All right, let me turn it over to Carol, KP4MD, or let's start with Carol, see if she has any suggestions, and if she wants to enlist help from Joel, let's see what we have.
Yeah, sometimes that's happened to me also. I set it up and it's all really working, and then I leave it for a while, and I think the USB port goes into sleep mode. When you try to wake it up again, it gets, not the USB, the audio channel gets jumbled. So what you need to do is you need to completely close down MMS STV, start it up again, and then choose your correct audio stream. Did you try doing that, Neil? This is KP4 Mike Delta.
No, but work in progress. Okay, you shut it down completely. Let me bring it back up here. Thank goodness this is fairly quick. And it is up. It came back very quickly. Let me check and make sure that the selection there is correct, and then I'll try the tone again.
I've had cases where I select to a different device, hit OK, then go back in and select the correct device. I don't know if that's needed. I'm just pointing out that's what I've done sometimes in the past. The I6DG.
Yeah, I'm doing that. KL7HQR. I'm doing that exactly the same thing. I am changing over to the speakers and now changing back to the USB audio codec. And OK, and let's try the tone now. It looks like that may have done it.
Very good, Neil. Go ahead. KL7HQR.
Now, with the help of experts, sometimes. Okay, let's go with it.
successfully transmitted a slow scan TV photograph among the group here. So KL7HQR sends a photograph. It's Wilson here, N6EMF, and want to say thanks going out to the others that have helped Neil get back on track with his settings. What I can see is a factory floor with Neil maybe Neil in some time in recent history standing up on maybe some kind of floor dolly or jack for what appears to be a horizontally oriented rocket engine with its nozzle pointed towards him. That's what it appears to be to me. It's a two-story factory environment or maintenance environment maybe, and it looks great. It's a great photograph, very little noise, well-lit factory, mostly white colored background with some black trim and stuff like that, but looks good. It looks like Neil there with a clipboard in his hand and a wristwatch. I hope I got it right. Let's see. So N6EMF here, I'll turn it over to Joel, AI6. Let me turn it over to Carol, KP4MD, for her perception of the photo.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. Thank you. The picture came through very well over here. Just a few little pixel pops here and there from the pave pause interference on the band. And yeah, it looks like you're standing right in the exhaust path of a rocket engine, and gladly there's no fuel in there and it's not going to be ignited. But very nice, impressive picture. I'm sure there's a historical story behind this. So back to Net Control. This is KP4MD.
Yeah, I want to second that. It was a great picture. Thanks, Carol. N6EMF here. We'll turn it over to Joel, AI6DG. Did you have anything you wanted to comment on for the picture?
Excellent reception. I do have a bar cross right about at waist level. So it is a repeater ID or something. I'm not sure. I wasn't paying attention, so I'm not sure what I didn't hear. And I mean, this was one of the Saturn V rockets, of which I believe there were 5 of them on the rocket. And I think I heard in some YouTube video that if they wanted to make these again, they wouldn't be able to because they've lost the engineering knowledge of exactly how it all got put together. So it's amazing to think that we did something that long ago, and you'd think it'd be easier to do now, and that's not necessarily the case. They did some amazing things for the Apollo project to get us on the moon. Anyway, that looks... and I'm assuming this is in Florida, maybe the assembly building? I forget. Where? I don't know. Where do they put the rockets together? Did they put the engines onto the rocket in the assembly building in Florida, or did that get shipped? No, that's way too big. Those things are big. Anyway, back to Net AI6DG.
Yeah, very good, Joel, N6EMF. I'll turn it over to Neil for a narrative of the photograph and some historical perspective on it. Go ahead, KL7HQR.
Roger. First of all, let me just say that if you notice the difference in the pattern here, all you guys are sending pictures of neat things that you're doing right now, dealing with today's technology and things for the future. And every picture I send is something that happened in the past. Well, that goes with age. Anyway, I think everybody got it just right. It's a rocket engine, and it is in Florida. And it is a space shuttle main engine at the SSME. After every flight, the engines would be removed from the orbiter, and I have a series of pictures for some other in the future that I can show how that's being done. And they are brought to this location. This building is one of two or three SPF, the Shuttle Processing Facility, and they are dismantled up to a point and inspected and completely refurbished to make it ready for the next flight. This particular one, and I used to go to Kennedy to do an audit for the process, not the machine, but for the process, the quality and management system of the process. And I used to go there every 6 months. I was auditing ATK, or Allied Technology, which used to be called Thiokol. I believe now they are Northrop Grumman. The engines themselves were built by Boeing, Rocketdyne, at the Canoga Park facility up just north of Los Angeles. And they were tested at Stennis Space Flight Center, and I had to go there for that as well. So this is one of them. This particular one was from the 100th flight on the shuttle, STS-92, and had come down from the orbiter Discovery. And the reason I'm standing on that particular spot is because I was told, and they want me to be right there, is because they say that Clint Eastwood was standing right there in a scene of the movie Space Cowboys. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if they just pulled a fast one on me. Back to Ned.
Oh, Space Cowboys! I have not seen Space Cowboys, but if you have Netflix or Hulu, you might want to check it out. It might be worthwhile. That's a great one. So you what were you doing there? Were you a visitor, or did you work in there? You have a clipboard, it seems like. Were you taking notes or doing something else in the environment?
Yeah, for 20 years after I left the Air Force and worked for NASA for a while, I became a quality and management system auditor for an international quality system called ISO 9000. Well, the aerospace version was AS 9100, and companies were certified to that, and we had to go back and every 6 months or every year to make sure that they were following the management system and also the quality process. And I mentioned ATK before. I was incorrect. This one here, I was auditing for Boeing, Rocketdyne. And we used to go to Stennis to see the testing process. We used to go to Kennedy to see the stack and monitoring of the stack. And they also supported the launches because they had the responsibility for the engines. And also I had to go to Canoga Park and all their other facilities. It was quite an experience. These nozzles, by the way, they're not solid. They are made of one continuous tubing, and the fuel was pumped through the tubing and then back up on the way to being ignited, because the thousands of degrees on the inside, not to melt the nozzle, and they use the fuel to pass through that and maintain its cool. So quite an interesting piece of machine.
Very good. It's definitely complicated. I can see all those routes of piping around, or I guess it's fuel piping around the outer diameter of the cone or the nozzle. So, wow, that's fascinating. Any other comments?
One for myself. Thank you guys for helping me with the equipment.
Very good. It looks like it's getting close to 10 o'clock p.m. We probably have approximately 7 minutes. It's my impression we should probably plan on wrapping up the session without another round of photographs unless someone insists, maybe one or two more. So I'll check in with the rest of the folks in the group. N6NA Net Control here. How do we want to proceed? Do we want to proceed with more questions or comments on Niels, or do anything else?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. First of all, I wanted to answer the question that you had for me, Wilson, about my audio. You're hearing my audio is being processed multiple times. I'm not using the regular microphone on the radio. I'm using a gaming headset that's plugged into my PC, and the audio from that is being piped through virtual audio cable audio repeater into the OBS software, which is the software that does YouTube live streaming, and also it's being piped into the signal link. So my audio is actually going through the signal link into the data port in the back of the radio. I'm not using the standard radio, so you're not hearing the audio with the pre-emphasis, the normal pre-emphasis, and the level may be a little hot. I would have to just turn my audio level down. And I was wondering if you had a picture to send, because we haven't seen a picture from you, Wilson. N6EMF, this is KP4MD.
Yeah, thanks, Carol, for the update. I'll send a quick photo and give a quick narrative. And this isn't directly related to ham radio, but it's connected to a personal goal that I achieved. So let me see if I can send one. All right, so N6EMF here. What this is a picture that my 8-year-old son drew. His name is Mason. He's 13 now, but he knew that it was my dream to have this Porsche 911 sports car. It's all I ever talked about in terms of cars for me. So we'd be on road trips, and I'd be talking about these Porsches and stuff. So I grew up working on old German cars, and there was a neighbor across the street that had one of these growing up, and I used to go for rides with him in it, and my dad was enthused about these cars. And finally, I bought one a couple years ago, and it represents a significant achievement for me. I bought a used 99 Porsche Carrera that was in pretty good condition when I got it, but I did put a lot of miles on it in 2 years, and I knew that I was going to end up having to do some work on it. So right now, my winter project is I've got the engine coming out in my garage. So I am kind of a side project aside from ham radio. I'm busy. I've got 3 more bolts left to lower the engine and transmission package, and I'm going to go in and replace timing chain guides and some hydraulic lifters, spark plugs, some other intake issues that surfaced that I'll be addressing hopefully this winter. So I got it under control here. This represents a picture that my son drew for me. It's like a part of one of my birthday gifts a few years ago, and finally it happened for me. So not connected to ham radio, but I saw that others had cats and other things on display for SSTV night and previous sessions. So there you go, N6EMF. I'll turn it over to maybe Carol for a comment. How's that?
Yeah, okay. N6EMF. This is KP4MD. Very good. Yeah, I could. I had no idea what a 911 was. I thought that had something to do with call dialing 911. But okay, Porsche 911. Looks like the rear tire is flat. I don't know if that was intentional. And I noticed your call letter is on the license plate. That's if your son did that, that was quite perceptive. That's wonderful. It's I think I don't know if I could draw a car with that much detail. It's very well done. And thank you for sharing that. And you can see what your other love is there. That's awesome. So back to you. This is KP4MD.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. KP4MD, this N6EMF. The flat tire is like a distorted tire from either heavy braking. You can see that the brake lights are on. You can see the brake lights flashing in the rear. It looks like I'm hammering the brakes or something, and so those are the tires under deflection, heavy load. So thanks for that, Carol. I'll turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR, N6EMF.
Well, congratulations. As Carol said, for an 8-year-old to draw something like this, that's pretty good. I don't know how much he's been drawing in the last 5 years, but now at 13, how good he is. Very, very good. And by the way, congratulations. It's achieving setting a goal, waiting for years, working for it, and achieving a goal is something to be recognized and appreciated. So congratulations. And one more thing, maybe you want to touch base with N6PGQ, because Bob's main activity and hobby is working on cars. I don't know if you know that or not, but you two seem to have something in common. So, and as far as bringing non-ham radio pictures to the meeting here, well, I think we all have been doing that. So, welcome, KL7HQR, back to net.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Yeah, I'm aware that Bob N6PGQ is a car guy, and I've talked to him a little bit. I haven't mentioned this yet, but we'll get around to it. I know that he likes to change his own oil, and I've poked around with him about oil changing. So yeah, my son is very he's gifted. He gets things the first time. He's plays musical instruments, and he can draw, and he's developing his own music on the computer, and is a pretty good athlete. So he's an all-around talented kid, and yeah, he's a good kid. So yeah, thanks for that encouragement. I will kind of blend in other topics as well. So let me turn it over to AI6DG. Joel, go ahead.
Hey, there's nothing that says the photos you send have to be ham-related, so this is fine. Something you're proud of, then you're welcome to send it. And it took me, I had to double-check. It actually said Porsche. I remember trying to figure out whether that was a P or a D, but yep, Porsche, 911. Those go back, and some of them are amazing cars. Are they still making 911s, and are they still pancake 6 engines, air-cooled?
That's a great question. The 911 is a flagship sports car in that brand. They've been making them since the early 1960s. It's a classic car that the silhouette of the car is unchanged since about that time. I won't go into all of that, but the engines are still rear engine. The engine is mounted behind the rear wheels. The model that I have is the first year of where they made a transition from air-cooled, which is really oil-air, to water-cooled. And or the first water-cooled engine that came in a 911 to North America anyway. And it's a flat 6-cylinder engine or horizontally opposed boxer 6-cylinder engine, and it's a 3.4 liter. For the time, it was 300 horsepower and about 300 pound-feet of torque, which was a phenomenal amount of power for a car in that time frame, as well as it being a 2,800-pound car. So it's very light, and so it's a fun car to drive. Believe me, it's a blast, a kick in the pants. So it's all stock pretty much, and so there's a story on that.
Are they still light on the back, where if you're in a corner and let up on the acceleration, the back slides out?
Yeah, that's a mixed blessing that has been an artifact of Porsche rear-engine cars, and they have engineered that out with things like traction control and limited slip differential, and for the more modern cars, which mine is already 20 years old, but the more modern cars have really advanced controls to keep the car under control. But if you know how to drive it, if you know how to let that rear end swing, you can use it to your advantage for getting around corners. It's an artifact that's not available in most other cars. So if you know what you're doing, you can get around corners much more quickly and enter corners much faster, and you can also get killed. So you got to be careful. Thanks for the question and the comment, Joel. Appreciate it. N6EMF.
A 20-year-old car, 20 years advanced technology. I don't really follow cars super tight anymore. I've always been a bit of a car person. But I have watched a few videos where they're talking about the technology that's in the new supercars, and it sounds like even this really high-end cars are getting just as much technology as a luxury car, although in a different direction, because it's into the transmission, where you've got double-clutched automatic transmissions with fast shift, and engine control for optimizations, and the suspension. And traction, like you're describing, where they're a lot stickier because of what they can do through the computer control. They stick to the road, more efficient, higher power. So, yeah, the cars are not what they used to be, even 20 years ago. Back to Net AI6DG.
Yeah, it was a state-of-the-art car when it was delivered in '99, and so anyway, the car is under overhaul right now, and I'm really hoping to get it done so I can drive it in the spring. And this is going to be a significant repair, so I'm really excited about it. So I used to lose sleep at night over how I was going to get one of these cars, and now I'm losing sleep because I want to make sure I get this engine back in. So I appreciate all the discussion, and want to probably get ready to close out the net if there are no more comments or any other questions about operating SSTV in general. So I'll leave it open for just one more moment for another round of general discussion or feedback, and we'll get ready to close it out from here. N6EMF.
N6NA, one more question, not necessarily to be answered right now, but I again missed anything on if there was one on Saturday, so I would like to make sure that my email address is on the list too, for any potential SSTV activity on Saturday. That's basically it. N6NA clear. Good night, guys.
All right, well, thanks, Neil. I did respond to an email to you about a week ago, and I never heard anything back from you. And prior to that, which maybe 2 weeks ago, I knew that you were having email server issues, and so I just maybe want to send you a test email. If you could respond that you got it, I'd appreciate it. And our next step, our little cadre for talking about digital modes, we were kind of discussing between Joel and I, we were going to do an HF SSTV. So we haven't figured out when, but that's kind of on our bucket list, and I haven't made any progress with my HF radio since then, but that's my next step. And let me turn it over to Carol and see if she had any parting comments or questions.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. Only to mention that since HF has been picking up, the solar flux has been going up. There's been I've actually been hearing some slow scan on 14 to 30, 20 meters. So it's not as active as it has been in its heyday, but you can certainly sometimes get some slow scan pictures there, and just go for it. That's something I think would be great. That's the next step after accomplishing it here on VHF or UHF. It prepares you for doing that, and also getting into the other sound card modes. It opens up a whole other world here. So back to net control. This is KP4MD.
All right, KP4MD, thanks for the suggestion. That's 20 meters. I think I'm ready for that. I got 10 and 20 up in the air, and I think we'll just, make an effort to get that to happen on 20 meters or even 10 meters. So get ready, Joel, and let's do some stuff out there, and we'll check with Neil to see if he wants to join in, and Carol as well. So here's what I'll do. I'll do one last check with Joel, AI6DG. Did you have anything? Go ahead, Joel.
I was also thinking we could maybe do a Zoom get-together, and I can do a screen share and do a talk-through on FT8 or even MMS-TV if you want to on HF. In terms of us trying to do an HF, we can try it and try different bands. We may be too close, but we can certainly try. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right, thanks for offering up support, as you always do, as well as Carol. And so what I'll do is proceed to close out the net. I want to say thanks to Carol, KP4MD, for running the YouTube feed, and thanks to Neil for hanging in there, and congratulations on significant progress with your SSTV. And thanks, Carol and Joel. I want to just say thanks to all who participated in tonight's SSTV net, and we hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. This net is officially closed at approximately 10:09 p.m. Pacific time. This is Wilson, N6 EMF, wishing all of you a good evening and a happy holiday season.